Which
Doing good, man. It's good to see you again. Let me turn my volume up soon. Can you hear me good?
Yep,
Good, good, good. Yeah, how you been doing, man?
pretty good, busy.
Yeah, yeah, I understand, man. We've been rocking and rolling with the project. I think we might have 2 more months left. And I think I might have maybe one or two more people to interview, but I wanted to chop it up with you today and just talk about like what we did, and just what you think about uh Project Harmony so far and all of that stuff. So the first question I was gonna ask you was what inspired you to do this kind of work? And I guess for people who will see this who don't know, could you like introduce yourself to them too as well?
You froze up. You said what is probably to what?
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I was saying before we get into it's saying my internet unstable. I don't know why, but it's saying I'm saying before we like get into the questions and stuff for people who end up seeing this, could you like introduce yourself to them and kind of tell them um what kind of stuff you were into and what inspired you to be a part of Project Hum?
My name is Terance Bailey Sr. I'm the founder and president of Operation Frederick Douglass on the Hill and the Bailey Goethe Family Foundation Incorporated. We are a organization. We're comprised of descendants of Perry Bailey, the older brother of Frederick Douglass. And the goal of our nonprofit, which we are 501c3 and incorporated, the goal of our nonprofit is historical preservation, education. Our current goal is to build an African American culture center uh, in the Hill community, which is the oldest free Black community in the nation, still in existence. And uh, and we also promote trade programs, because not every kid is built for college, but trade programs. Every kid should learn a trade, and we promote that. The uh, the Harmony Project, I got. I was actually getting involved with that, and I agreed because the I mean that's that whole thing is just a shame. I mean that's an injustice. Um, it's a very terrible display of white privilege that you could take, folks' grave tombstones, dig up black bodies, and then take the tombstones, somebody else, which is someone else's property, and use it for your land as riprap in order to preserve your land. And then when the families come to ask for their property back, you tell them no. And because you have white privilege, you can do that and get away with it. So, I want to be a part of the whole repatriation of these tombstones back with the families and the deceased, who they belong to, the families who purchased them with their hard-earned money. Uh, and, and that's why I got that's why I'm involved, to help to help a coalition of folks to right a wrong, multiple wrongs that were done decades ago.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I feel your sentiment too. How important is legacy and people actually like caring about these types of things? Because a lot of times I feel like if something is not right in front of you, a lot of times people either overlook it or they're just like disinterested in things of this importance. But like, how important is legacy and actually caring for these types of things?
Well, if you don't care about legacy, you don't care about this type of stuff. It'll die. We live in an age now where they don't they want us to forget our history and our legacy, and don't want it to be taught. Uh, for fear of it could create white hate. Uh, no, what the thing is that this stuff has to be taught. We have to remember so that we don't repeat it. And the thing that we in the African American community are fighting against or trying to correct, those a lot of us, is the stigma of when of our elders who were so hurt by the things, all that hurt passed down through generations, slavery, Jim Crow, and the civil rights era stuff and whatnot, and a lot of black families have a lot of secrets. So when you as a young person go to your grandma or your great grandma or your grandfather and say you ask questions about the family, they say, well, child stand, child place, mind your business. Why are you asking about where I'm from? And see, we have to break that stigma that's a legacy of hurt, of past trauma, and that's why legacy is so important because you have to know these things. And since our elders wouldn't tell us now it's our job to go and uncover and find these things out for ourselves so that we can pass on the information to our descendants. And we're behind the eight ball because our ancestors, a lot of our ancestors, didn't want to share information, and they were whole libraries, and a lot of them were passed on, and those libraries have burned to the ground. So we have to go back and pick up the pieces, so that, like, as I said, so we can pass on to our next generation. And legacy is so important. Do you realize how many young men and women, black young men and women, who have been through the penal system, who probably never would have had they known where they came from.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
They say you move a little bit, like you're sitting in the classroom and you're looking at that kid they're looking at the other kid in the classroom whose family comes from X, Y, and Z and Z and Z and Z and Z, and he's moving it. He feels like he's somebody because he knows he came from somebody. He came from something. So so he's indulged in his home in his schoolwork because his ancestor was indulged in his schoolwork. He's
Right.
indulged in
Yeah.
sports because his ancestor was indulged in sports. He's indulged in business because his ancestor was indulged in business because he knows all this stuff. Then you look at the kid whose family won't tell him nothing, and he did, and so he believes he's nothing. Unless you have one of those, unless you have the anomalies, I'm saying, the kids that saying don't think they come from anything, but they have a drive they believe that they're going to be something. I'm saying, they have an internal drive. So this is why the legacy is important. This is why kids, black kids especially, need to know where they come from. Because if these kids know where they come from, our progress will move much faster. Because I say that because I was in my 30s, but by the time I found out that I was that Bailey, that I was a Frederick Douglass Bailey. I was in my 30s by the time I found that out. And I look at a lot of, and me being a Bailey, looking at my cousins who have been. I have an aunt who has four sons. One of them passed away, and every one of her sons is incarcerated, and all of them were Baileys. And so I always sit back and I wonder, what if we grew up with that knowledge? You know what I'm saying? With a lot of my cousins be like, "Hey man, I'm too good to deal dope. Do you know who my family is?
Yeah.
Do you know where I come from? I ain't selling no
Mm-hmm.
dope. I ain't
Yeah.
selling dope. I'm too good for that. You know what I mean? And not being bourgeoisie, but just having self worth.
Yeah.
There's a
Absolutely.
there's a difference between bougie and self worth.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. No, I feel that.
Yeah.
Do you think that we can give the younger generation something practical to do to get their feet on the ground and to like move towards activism and awareness for our people? Like, instead of saying like, oh, go check this out and and go read this, like, is there a way that they can like practically get into these communities and like help do something towards awareness for situations like this, and not necessarily something as immense as Project Harmony, but just something like on a smaller level? What is something smaller and practical that we could tell the younger generation?
First thing would be open our kids' eyes to what they're consuming. This might the music,
Mm,
this stuff, this the politics, a lot of this stuff is what's hindering our kids. Our kids are being pulled away. Our attention is being pulled away to other things, and they're not caring about legacy. You know, we have to we have to open our kids' eyes to what they're consuming before we can get them to be able to focus on these other things that saying that are actually going to keep us alive.
Yeah.
Things that need to. When I say keep us alive, I don't mean in the breathing sense. I mean the history. Keeping like when we keeping our history makes our ancestors immortal. We need to in order for us to for us to get these kids to understand the importance of that. It's like you gotta take out the trash before you go shopping, or clean out the fridge before you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? We got to get that stuff out of them
Yeah.
before we can start pouring in. You know what I mean? This music that they're listening to, this you know the terminology, the self-deprecating terminology used about oneself, and you know uh, when I walk into a room full of black excellence, I don't see bad bitchs and real n words.
That's a fact.
So we need to get these. That's what the first thing we have to do with these kids is that, because everything else to them after that's going to be a joke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and our I think I've read somewhere that our ancestors will be the first generation who will leave a generation that was worse off than the generation that they came from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We I mean we got to start at ground zero. We're falling behind the eight ball in every single way. Our kids are being taken in another direction, and it's a direction that's detrimental to uh, the things that we're doing with Project Harmony and stuff like that, trying to keep the legacy going. There'll be a small few, and you can't have a few, and you can't have a few and call it an army.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, as far as Project Harmony is concerned, what would you like to see moving forward? Like what actions would you like to see taken this far? Now that we're in this phase where it's so many different moving pieces and we're doing so many great things, but like what would you like to see after this? And I guess moving forward too.
I mean, I don't, I like to see more funding, more funding, less red tape. You know what I'm saying? Get this, get this project, you know, finished, and then move on to another area because this is not the only place. Or what will be great is to have sister organizations working on other projects that are connected to this project, but are working on same projects, but in other states where the same thing has happened. To expand this, I mean, and get it fully funded and expand it, and move and do the same great work we're doing there, do another place.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Because I guarantee you there are many that we've never even heard of.
No, there's actually another black cemetery. It's I think it's in DC. It's called Woodlawn Cemetery. Are you familiar with Woodlawn?
Yeah, I'm familiar with one. I have relatives buried there.
Okay, wow, man, wow. And what I heard from different people who've been there is that Woodlawn needs a lot of care too, especially to like the grounds and different things like that.
Yeah.
Um, do you think that there's anything specific about the DMV area that its identity involving things like this is much different than other areas, like especially compared to like the deep south? Do you think that like things are done a different way? Is there a distinction? You know what I mean?
I mean, the thing about DC is, you look at the history. People flood, black folk flooded to DC. Saying during the Civil War or whatnot. We built DC. From the planner down to the builder.
That's right.
We built DC. You
Hmm.
know, so with gentrification and all the other kind of stuff or whatnot. These graves being moved to make MTA stations or what have you. You know, uh, I think it has a special kind of injustice. But then at the same time, when you go south and you look at places like Lake Lanier, that was saying a lot of those lakes down there were black towns with churches and cemeteries.
Crazy.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I want to say I don't want to take. I don't want to say that DC is different or better than any of the other places. So because then if we say that, then we're going to say that DC was better than Tulsa. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, in Lake Lanier and all those, there's several cities, black towns that are submerged underwater. Or because they were too prosperous. Wilmington, North Carolina. What went on there with the voting situation and all of the black elected officials ran out of town. Rosewood, all these places. There are a lot of you go into these like DC, Eastern Shore of Maryland, Southern Maryland, Virginia, uh, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, whatever. There's a lot of these places that you probably that if you went off in the woods somewhere, you went off in the woods, if you saw like an old falling down structure back in the woods, guarantee you a lot of these places you'll find old churches and old graveyards that nobody has stepped foot in probably a century. I know of right off the top of my head, I know of one of our family graveyards in Queen Anne's County, Maryland, that my aunt, who's 94 years old, said the last person who was buried back there, she was 8. And we're trying to find the cemeteries back in the woods. We're trying to find it. You know what I'm saying? That whole area that's called Star, Maryland. That's a black enclave. That family, my family's been there since after emancipation. It doesn't have a historical plaque.
Hey,
So,
dang.
you know what I'm saying? So the church that's there was built in 1720. It doesn't have a historical plaque. So I mean, there's a lot of these places. Harmony Project is a great project. It's a big project. It's an important project. But on the grand scheme of things, it scratches the surface. We need, to be honest, if we want to go at this full fledged, we need way more money and way more people because the Harmony is a national problem. It's a national problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a fact.
national problem. You know, and that's something like it's a I don't think people will really realize there's a lot of people who don't know about this project, who should know about this project. They don't realize to know how important, how impactful, how groundbreaking that this, saying that this is. You got people going down in tens of deep water, 30 foot of water, trying to pull up tombstones that were stolen and graves moved, whether to make an MTA, to make an MTA something. Uh, I forgot what it was for, but the outrage, that this right here should invoke, and at the privilege, and the fact that the Wilkes Booth visited that property, escaping from actually assassinating Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that is crazy,
Yeah,
bro.
he tried to get refuge.
Yeah.
So I mean, so there was a storyline. I mean, it's just the history behind it, the whole 9 yards, and the effort that it took to steal those tombstones. All those dump trucks back then weren't as big as they are now. All those loads of tombstones. How deliberate it was.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, and there are places. there are churches that were burned down in race riots that had to, you know what I'm saying, that the land is overgrown and everything, and those graves are just there. You know, haven't been laid, you know, nobody's laid eyes on them for 100 years or more. You know, all you know, peppered all through the South, and there's some up north. You know, there's some up north, Rochester area and all that stuff. Any of those places where the Underground Railroad ran through,
Yeah.
and there were black settlements. There were a lot of black settlements in the north that no longer exist because they were displaced. And you know wherever black folk went and set up a settlement, they did what? They made a church. And in the church, you had a graveyard because they always had somewhere to put the dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
So, you know, it's a huge project, and I, you know, actually I believe every state should donate. She should put money to this, and there should be a division of this organization in every state, every feasible state. I don't know about. I mean, there's you can, if you look far enough, you look. I was thinking, you know, well, maybe not. You know, instead of something like North Dakota or something like that, but you never know.
You never know. Yeah, that's a fact.
You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. You got any closing remarks? Because I mean that was powerful, bro. Any closing remarks, and we can
I,
wrap it up.
I just say, you know, support the Harmony Project. You know, be a part of it. You know, this is a national thing. This is not just exclusive to, you know, the DMV. This is a national issue. It's in. I mean, it's everywhere. You know, get involved. If you know if you don't have the time to donate, but you got a few extra dollars, do so, and let's support legacy. It's all about like support legacy. Don't let legacy die. Let's these people in these graves who have who've been displaced from their. It's one thing to be displaced from your home. They were displaced from their eternal resting place. So they never even got a chance to rest. Let's get these tombstones out of the water. Let's say their name. Let's make them immortal.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey man, thank you so much for your time, brother. I really appreciate this. This was powerful. Like always, anytime we talk, I learned something, man. And on behalf of Hassan, we really appreciate all that you've done for us and what you'll continue to do, man. So thank you.
Yep, no problem. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Hey man, have a good one, man. I'm gonna look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, same here.
Peace, brother.
Peace.